Quiz of Ice and Fire. Hello there, listeners. Thanks for joining us today for another Quiz of Ice and Fire. I'm Lady Guinevere, and today we're bringing you our 23rd trivia quiz. And as always, thanks to our generous patrons for their continued support, which unlock this bonus feature for everyone. And speaking of patrons, I want to mention that our patrons do gain access to exclusive content and perks such as early release and shoutouts. So head on over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/Radio Westeros to find out how you can support the podcast.
And hi guys, I'm back here again for my first quiz for over a year, I think, so I'm really looking forward to it. And we're very happy to welcome back once again as a guest Tara, Queen Regent of Ice and Fire Con, the fan convention dedicated to A Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones, held annually in April and now in its 8th year. Hi Tara.
Hey guys, my gosh, honestly, I keep forgetting that it's 8 years for us. So it's our 8th year. We've got some pretty big things planned. We were actually talking just before we started this about we have a guest of honor this year. This is our first time ever having an actual guest of honor. We've had the fandom favorites, including Radio Westeros, for quite a few years now. But David J. Peterson, who created the languages for Game of Thrones, he's created a ton of fictional languages, and we're really, really excited for him to be there. He's going to host a couple panels, and he'll have a table in the vendor room as well. If anybody has things they want to get signed or whatever, I know he's got, the Dothraki language guide and everything was put out. So I'm sure he'll have some things at his table as well. And we've got the big things coming back again for this year. The tournament will be there again. We are trying to put together a sort of pre-tournament activity for Friday. And I don't really want to say too much about it in case the big plans fall through, but I think it's going to be really exciting. And it does a little bit go along with the dream of spring theme that we're doing for this year. And actually the one thing I can say that hasn't been officially announced yet is that I think if you were in the Facebook group, you might have seen something about it, but we are having a musical again this year. We weren't sure if we were going to. It's completely different from the past 2 years, so it's not Westeros, an American musical at all, but I'm really excited about it, and I can't say anything detail-wise. We're all under the harsh rule of a non-disclosure agreement about it again, but it's yeah, I know we didn't have to really do that for last year because we'd already put Westeros on in 2018. So for 2019, it's we can tell you it's Westeros again, but bigger and better. Yeah, I can't say literally anything about this other than that there is going to be a musical. It's going to be shorter, about an hour and 15 minutes long, maybe. I think is what we're going for, and so we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah. Oh, well, so are we.
Plenty to get excited about. Yeah. And I was there for my first con last year, and it was great. But this year, we're going to be doing a lot of panels together.
Yeah.
So come and meet us, guys. Come and listen to what Tara's saying. Come and meet us at Ice and Fire Con.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great time. And we were talking also about before we started about tickets. So I think we want to encourage everyone to get their tickets in February, right?
Yeah. Right now, tickets are $90, and of course, you guys have your $5 off code. And the $5 off code never goes away; it just becomes $5 off. The next ticket level tier, but through February 29th. So hey, there's an extra day this year. They're $90, but on March 1st they do go up to $120. So it's a pretty big price jump, this year. And honestly, we did that because we were trying to avoid having to have a big ticket price raise, for our costs from the very start. So the earlier you get your tickets, the better.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll be out there in the upcoming weeks reminding everyone on our social media to get your tickets now. So we want to see lots of people there. It's such a great time.
So that's Code Radio if you're going to buy your tickets and you get $5 off.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. And we'll see y'all there. So now, if you are keeping score, it's time for us to get going. Get your pen and paper handy. And we have 15 questions today. The topic is characters. So get ready, see how many you can score. And remember that we love to hear your scores out there on social media. So let us know how you do. It's time to get started. And guests always go first. So we will turn it over to you, Tara, for question 1.
Which enigmatic character introduced as one of the 3 representatives from Qarth who escort Daenerys wears a red lacquer mask and has a curious interest in the 3 dragons?
Yes, the red lacquer mask wearing enigmatic character that shows up to take Dany to Qarth. Can you remember who that is? And on to question 2. Which overweight guard at Winterfell remains at the castle when several of the Starks leave? He is unfortunately the first casualty suffered when the Ironborn attacked Winterfell, and his death was foreseen by Jojen Reed.
Okay. Can you remember the name of any of the guards at Winterfell? Yeah.
I can, but honestly, this one would have stumped me, I think.
Yeah, I feel maybe perhaps me as well. But it's not one of the... But, we like our challenges. So. Good luck with that one. This one, question 3. Which character is said to stink so badly he was left with no choice but to sleep in a pigsty? Even drinking perfume didn't help. I don't know why it would, but yes, he would try anything. With a taste for twisted cruelty and even necrophilia, this man goes by a memorable moniker instead of his probable birth name, which is Heek. What is his nickname?
Oh, that one's a the drinking perfume thing. I honestly forgot about that, and I mean, I don't even like eating, they have drinks and whatnot that are like floral.
Yes.
Like if you go to the fancy bars and whatever, I can't even stand those.
No, not a fan. So.
All right. Question number 4. Which character is Joint Castellan of Last Hearth up in the far north? This person once studied at the Citadel as his father thought he'd make a good maester. But while in Old Town, they are rumored to have killed a sex worker who might have been male.
Yes, can you remember this character who studied in Old Town but might have got away with a murder? And on to question 5. Which concubine of Tregar Ormolin, who now resides in Lys, once allowed her favour to be worn by none other than Jorah Mormont before he won the tourney, crowning her Queen of Love and Beauty, and then he married her in Lannisport?
Okay. Can you come up with that name before we move on to question 6, which has to do with the Night's Watch? Which character becomes the Master at Arms at Castle Black midway through the books, only to be replaced by Leathers when our mystery person is given charge of the Long Barrow? This character is handy with a sword, helps many Night's Watch recruits train, including Jon Snow, and also shoves a certain block beneath the head of Janos Slynt.
All right. Question number 7 is, which member of Joffrey's Kingsguard was named to replace Preston Greenfield after he was killed in the bread riot? I sometimes forget that Preston Greenfield even existed, to be honest.
I know. Yeah, same. I just reread, I've been rereading the books, and when I got to that part, I actually went, oh. Yeah.
He is not a memorable Kingsguard.
Definitely forgot about this guy. I don't know, did he do anything other than die?
I don't think he really did.
Yes, so that was number 7. where we're looking for the replacement of Preston Greenfield in the Kingsguard. And on to question 8. Which Lady Tully, formerly a Whent, is the mother of Catelyn, Edmure, and Lysa?
Question 9. Back to the Night's Watch. Which Night's Watch rebel is a part of Chet's plan to kill Jorah Mormont and was among the mutineers who killed the old bear at Craster's Keep? Cold Hands later seems to have killed this character as Summer finds his body out in the woods with his throat slit. We know the body was his because he's missing a hand, his punishment for thievery, which is what got him sent to the wall. So what is this character's name?
Okay, question number 10. Which wildling is distinctive due to the white mask they wear? The mask is made of weirwood, and when this person submits to Jon, they lower their mask to kiss his hand. Later, the Lord Commander gives this character charge of the abandoned Night's Watch castle at Queensgate.
Yeah, a rather obscure one. A wildling with a white weirdwood mask. Can you remember who this character is? And on to question 11. Which brother and proctor of the Quiet Isle greets visitors, gives them a bit of a guided tour, describes the mysterious gravedigger as a novice, and takes exception to Pod's plan of sleeping under the same roof as Brienne, saying, "On the Quiet Isle, men and women do not sleep beneath the same roof unless they are wed."
Well, we gave you half his name because it's his title, but here you go. You're going to have to come up with his given name on your own. So good luck with that. Question 12. Ooh, we're flying all the way over to Essos for this one. Which Myronese nobleman wears his hair in the shape of horns and challenges Daenerys to send forth a champion to fight him when she wants to conquer Meereen? This character is not short on confidence and encourages the city guards to piss in Dany's general direction. This leads to the classic scene where Strong Belwes decapitates the city champion, defecates at the Myronese, and then wipes his behind on our fallen champion's cloak.
Yeah, and have fun with that Myronese name. All right. In A Feast for Crows, which, by the way, is my favorite of the 5 published books, we learn of the Valonqar prophecy, which dated back to Cersei's childhood. Cersei and 2 friends went to a witch, Maggie the Frog, to hear their futures, and Cersei has been haunted ever since. Her friend Melara Heatherspoon also heard her future, which turned out to be rather short and unfortunate, but there was a 3rd girl with them who grew too afraid to listen to Maggie and fled the scene. Cersei later recalls that the girl still lives on Fair Isle with her husband and a 12 children. Lucky her.
Yes, so who was this 3rd, rather cowardly, but perhaps rather sensible child who fled the scene and got away from Maggie the Frog, who was very croaky having just woken up? So, yeah, can you tell us who it is? And now on to question number 14. Which exiled prince of Red Flower Vale resides in the Red Keep as he hopes to convince King Robert to invade his native Summer Isles and restore his power? Unfortunately, Robert dies before he can aid the Summer Islander, and by the end of Dance, he is captured under the supervision of Qyburn relating to the false Margaery Tyrell charges.
Okay, so now that brings us to our final question, which has to do with a knight who is a captain in service to House Tarly. He was part of a wager to try and take Brienne of Tarth's Maidenhead, giving her an illuminated book, among other things, in his efforts to win her over. Lately, though, he's been trying to make amends, and he helps Brienne on her quest until he's captured and hanged alongside Podrick Payne before Brienne apparently says a word that may or may not have saved him right at the end of Feast. Who is this knight? And that's it. That was our 15th question. So we're going to take a brief break and we'll be back with our answers. And we're back, and now it is back over to Tara for answer number 1.
All right, so which character who is introduced as one of the 3 representatives from Qarth who escort Daenerys wears a red lacquer mask and has a curious interest in Daenerys' dragons? And that is Quaithe.
Yes, Quaithe. The right word is definitely enigmatic. I've got a quote from Clash of Kings. The woman in the lacquered wooden mask said in the common tongue of the 7 kingdoms, I am Quaithe of the Shadow. We come seeking dragons. Seek no more, Daenerys Targaryen told them. You have found them. So Quaithe, a very interesting character, full of mystery, and people love to chat about her. Hope you got that one.
Love those prophecies.
Or make theories about her. Yeah, there's that too. Lots of Quaithe theories out there.
And on to question 2. This was the one about the overweight guard at Winterfell who stays at the castle when some of the Starks leave and is the first casualty suffered when the Ironborn attack Winterfell, foreseen by Green Dreamer Jojen Reed. And the answer is Ale-belly. So you can see where the overweight charge came from.
Yeah, a little bit of a hint what his name, or I presume that is his nickname. It's probably not the name his mother gave him. But we have actually a couple of quotes about Ale-belly. Jojen in the Clash of Kings tells Bran, I dreamed the sea was lapping all around Winterfell. I saw black waves crashing against the gates and towers, and then the salt water came flowing over the walls and filled the castle. Drowned men were floating in the yard. When I first dreamed the dream back at Greywater, I didn't know their faces, but now I do. That Ale-belly is one, the guard who called our names at the feast. Your Septon's another, your Smith as well. So there we go. Jojen just letting Bran know that the Ironborn are going to come take Winterfell, but they don't really understand the full impact of
and there's nothing Ale-belly could do to stop them.
He certainly could not. I think they surprised him, so there we go. Okay, question 3 was about a character who stank so badly he was left with no choice but sleeping in the pigsty. Apparently he tried drinking perfume and that didn't work. He may have been named Heek, which is interesting. I actually didn't know that until we were writing this quiz. So that makes sense when you find out what his nickname is. His nickname is Reek. So Heek, it rhymes with Reek. So there you go.
Yeah, it's very the rhyming thing, especially as it continues to come up. I guess maybe that's why Theon was never really the true Reek because his name doesn't actually rhyme with it. And also there's some pretty creepy quotes about Reek. One being from Lady Hornwood, who suffers very badly at his hands. She says, the boy Ramsay is a sly creature by all accounts, and he has a servant who is almost as cruel as he is. Reek, they call the man. It's said he never bathes. They hunt together, the bastard and this Reek, and not for deer. I've heard tales, things I can scarce believe, even of a Bolton. And now that my lord husband and my sweet son have gone to the gods, the bastard looks at my lands hungrily. And, of course, in the end, it turns out that Ramsay is Reek as we know him, so...
Yeah, there's plenty of people being Reek in this story.
Yeah, well, I mean, and with Ramsay, it's like, how how did he get himself that smelly that quickly? You know, like he like really went out of his way to play this part.
He's a method actor.
Really embraced it.
All right. Question number 4. There's also about Northern character is which character is joint castellan of Last Hearth? They studied at the Citadel, but was purportedly involved in the death of a sex worker who might have been male. And this character is Hother Umber.
Yeah, Hother Umber. And here's a quote from a Jon Snow chapter in Dance. Odd as it might seem, old Hoarfrost Umber had once believed his youngest son had the makings of a maester. Moors loved to boast about the crow who took his eye, but Hother's tale was only told in whispers. And then we find out that it seems likely that Hother disemboweled a sex worker with the suggestion that the sex worker was male. So a bit of a twist in his backstory there. And on to question number 5. This was about the concubine of Traegar Ormelin, who resides in Lys, but once was married to Jorah after allowing her favour to be worn by him at a tourney where he rose to the occasion and won and crowned her Queen of Love and Beauty. And the name we're looking for is Lyness Hightower.
That's right. Lyness Hightower of the mysterious Hightower family. Married Jorah Mormont, then after moving to Bear Island, became completely miserable, basically ruined him, and then abandoned him to his fate as a sellsword in Essos. So, poor Jorah. Or, I mean, yeah, I can't completely fault her either, so.
I mean, poor both of them for rushing into that marriage, you know?
And poor Daenerys for happening to look like Lyness, because that drives that obsession as well.
Yeah.
It's just a really unfortunate situation. Okay. All right, so let's go to question 6, which had to do with who became the Master at Arms at Castle Black midway through the books, only to be replaced by Leathers when Jon Snow sent this person over to the Long Barrow. And the person that we're asking about is also the person who shoved a block beneath the head of Janos Slynt, and that is Iron Emmett.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, I agree. I thought that Ed was the one that put the block down, but apparently that's not what he did. However, he was involved. The quote from Slynt's beheading is, by the time a suitable chopping block was found, Lord Janos had retreated into the winch cage, but Iron Emmett went in after him and dragged him out. No, Slynt cried as Emmett half shoved and half pulled him across the yard. Unhand me, you cannot. When Tywin Lannister hears of this, you will all rue. Emmett kicked his legs out from under him. Dolorous Ed planted a foot on his back to keep him on his knees as Emmett shoved the block beneath his head. All right, question number 7 was about the member of Joffrey's Kingsguard who was named to replace Preston Greenfield after Greenfield was killed in the Bread Riot, and that character is Balon Swan.
Yes, Balon Swan. Perhaps not the worst Kingsguard ever, because there's some bad ones. Here's a quote from Clash of Kings. He approved of his sister's choice of Sir Balon Swan, this is Tyrion by the way, to take the place of the slain Preston Greenfield. The Swans were marcher lords, proud, powerful and cautious. Pleading illness, Lord Julian Swan had remained in his castle, taking no part in the war, but his eldest son had ridden with Renly and now Stannis, while Balon the younger served at King's Landing. If he'd had a third son, Tyrion suspected he'd be off with Robb Stark.
That's the Swans sitting on both sides of the fence.
I mean, sensible. It's kind of almost Frey of them.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. The phrase, I guess mainly the phrase. Trying to sit on every single side of the fence at once.
Interesting way to play the game. Yeah. And on to question number 8. Which Lady Tully, formerly a Went, is the mother of Catelyn, Edmure, and Lysa? How many of you got this? The answer is Minisa Tully / Went.
Yep, that's right. We learn in A Clash of Kings that Lady Minisa Tully had died in childbed trying to give Lord Hoster a second son. The babe perished with her, and afterward, Cat thinks some of the life had gone out of her father. She was always so calm, Catelyn thought, remembering her mother's soft hands and her warm smile. Oh, that's so sad. And Cat goes on to think about how she kind of had to take her mother's place as like the lady of the house after she died. So family duty honor, being a good Tully there. Right. So hopefully you remembered Cat's mother's first name. Question 9. Which Night's Watch rebel is part of Chet's plan to kill Jorah Mormont and was among the mutineers who ended up killing the old bear at Craster's Keep? But he later seems to end up being killed in turn by the mysterious Cold Hands. We know this because Bran, through Summer's eyes, sees his body out in the snow with only one hand. So this man had a hand missing. What was his name? It was Ollo Lophand.
Yeah, and honestly, when Bran, as warged into Summer, finds him, it's very graphic. He sniffs, the men and gets to the biggest one, which is Ollo, and he's, again, they mentioned that he has a missing hand severed at the wrist. It's bound up in leather. And he's got a slash across his throat. And this is Bran, in Summer at this point, and it says the wolf lapped at the blood with his tongue, licked the ragged eyeless ruin of his nose and cheeks, then buried his muzzle in his neck and tore it open, gulping down a gobbet of sweet meat. No flesh had ever tasted half as good.
Wow.
So I guess at least although Lophand was tasty.
Yeah, in the end. Yeah.
Brings a whole new meaning to sweet meat.
Yeah, right. Sweet meats and every other part of A Song of Ice and Fire means something completely different.
And question number 10 was, which wildling is distinctive due to the white mask that they wear? It's made of weirwood, and when this wildling, who is actually a female, submits to Jon, she lowers her mask and kisses his hand, and later the Lord Commander gives her charge of the Night's Watch Castle Queensgate, and her name is Morna Whitemask.
Yeah, Morna Whitemask. Quite an obscure one. I think that I would have struggled with that, but, I looked it up to make the question, so I got it. And here's a quote from A Dance with Dragons from John POV. The warrior witch Morna removed her weirwood mask just long enough to kiss his gloved hand and swear to be his man or his woman, whichever he preferred. So that's when the wildlings are coming through, obviously. And on to question number 11, which was about the brother and proctor of the Quiet Isle, who greets visitors, gives them a tour, and isn't too impressed with Pod's plan to sleep under the same roof as Brienne. And the answer is Brother Narbert.
Brother Narbert, if you got this, please tell me.
The name, I honestly didn't remember him having a name. I didn't remember his. I know Maribald does and everything, but yeah, I didn't remember a Narbert.
Yeah, I definitely did not remember other people with names on the Quiet Isle because you have the elder brother, and I don't know. This was a revelation to me in spite of having read this many, many times. So
Yeah, it's honestly, I've lost count how many times I've read these books. It's like upwards of a dozen, but like I think I might be due for a reread because more of these are stumping me than I'd like to admit. It's been I think 2 years since I did one.
well, if you start right now, you might just about get through them
Before Ice and Fire. Honestly, I needed to put down. I've been reading Brandon Sanderson, and I needed to put it down for a while. But yeah, something familiar might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, there you go. Well, hopefully by then I'll have finished my reread. I've been working on it for a while, so we will see. And now let us move to question 12, which brought us over to Essos, specifically Meereen. We were looking for the name of the nobleman who challenges Daenerys to send forth a champion to fight him when she's outside of the city walls of Meereen. He comes and he encourages the city guards to piss in Dany's direction. His brief fight with Strong Belwas ends with him being decapitated and Belwas defecating in the general direction of the Meereenese. So, who is this person? Osnak Zopal. So I figure some of you who are very good with Meereenese names may have gotten this, right?
I don't know anybody who's truly good with Meereenese names, but kudos to anybody who did.
They exist. They're out there.
I'm sure. I just have yet to meet them or yet to learn that bit of trivia about any one of my friends. And yeah, this is another one where I remember the Shape of Horns. I remember the fight with him and Strong Belwas, but to remember his name, not so much. The story of Osnak and Belwas ends with Osnak leaping clear of his horse and managing to draw his sword before Strong Belwas was on him. Steel sang against steel, too fast and furious for Dany to follow the blows. It could not have been a dozen heartbeats before Belwas's chest was awash in blood from a slice below his breast, and Osnak Zopal had an arak planted right between his ram's horns. The eunuch wrenched the blade loose and parted the hero's head from his body with 3 savage blows to the neck. Ouch. He held it up high for the Meereenese to see, then flung it toward the city gate and let it bounce and roll across the sand. So much for the hero of Meereen, said Daario, laughing. Very short-lived, that hero.
Short-lived heroics, but it figures that Daario has to be there laughing at him.
Yeah, and his cape ends up getting wiped on Strong Belwas's butt, so not much of a hero, ultimately.
All right, question number 13 was about the Valonqar prophecy from Cersei's childhood when her and 2 friends went to see Maggie the Frog and hear their futures. Of course, we know that Melara Heatherspoon has not much of a future, and Cersei kind of goes half mad eventually, going over and over the prophecy in her head. But there was a third girl, and she did not listen. She ran off. And Cersei at one point thinks about how this girl lives on Fair Isle with her husband and a dozen children. I'm not sure, to me, that would be the best future, but I know in Westeros, that's a very good one. She's still married and has a dozen kids with her husband, you know, a lot of heirs, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Just living the dream.
Yeah, living that Westerosi dream, at least. But her name was Jane Farman.
Yeah, Jane Farman, as I said, you can debate whether she was cowardly or very wise in that moment, but she does run away, and I guess maybe Cersei envies that she's got no end of children, because Cersei's kind of preoccupied by the idea that she's going to lose all of hers. And here's a quote from A Feast for Crows. When Maggie the Frog opened her eyes, Jane Farman gave a frightened squeak and fled the tent, plunging headlong back into the night. Plump, stupid, timid little Jane, pasty-faced and fat and scared of every shadow. She was the wise one, though. Jane lived on Fair Isle still. She had married one of her brother's bannermen and whelped a dozen children.
Gotta give Cersei credit for realizing that she was the smart one in that situation.
Yeah.
I don't give Cersei credit often, so there you go.
It's just a surprise when she comes up with something logical, isn't it? And on to the penultimate question, number 14. This was the one about the exiled prince of Red Flower Vale, who seems to permanently reside in the Red Keep, wants to go to war with King Robert, but to get his native Summer Islands back and restore his power, but it's just not happening, is it? And this character is called Jalabar Zoe.
That's right. Cersei, back to her, thinks about this character that he's always begging for gold and swords to win his homeland back. Beneath his jewels and feathers, it says, Zoe was little more than a well-born beggar. Robert could have put an end to his importuning for good with one firm no, but the notion of conquering the Summer Isles had appealed to her drunken lout of a husband. No doubt he dreamt of brown-skinned wenches naked beneath feathered cloaks. Okay, so of course he did. This is right up Robert's alley. Remember his famous speech to Ned about how everything in the South was just, flowers and sunshine and happiness and naked girls and wine? Well, the Summer Isles is probably just the perfect place for him. So he kept Jalabar Zoe around just in case someday he decided to take off and become the Sellsword King. So it's not happening for him, though, because the end of Dance with Dragons, he's in Qyburn's custody. So God only knows what's ever going to happen for Jalabar.
Not nice things.
Probably not. All right. Here we go with our final question, or final answer, which had to do with a knight who was in service to House Tarly and was part of that wager to try and take Brienne of Tarth's maidenhead. Towards the end of Feast, though, he's trying to make amends, and he helps her out on her quest. He actually joins Brienne, traveling around the Riverlands, until he himself is captured along with Brienne and Podrick, and he's hanged before Brienne apparently speaks a word offering her sword to the Lady Stoneheart BWB gang. This person, of course, is Hyle Hunt.
So Hyle informs Brienne that his lordship, that being Tarly, informed me that he had no further need of my sword or my insolence. It amounts to the same thing. Henceforth, I shall enjoy the adventuresome life of a hedge knight. Though if we do find Sansa Stark, I imagine we will be well rewarded.
Yeah, you gotta like him. If nothing else, he's quite honest. He's kind of upfront about what motivates him. He's pretty good-natured. He's just spends his days trying to win Brienne over with his chirpy insolence, I guess. Let's go with that. That's what Randyll Tarly accused him of. But, there's something kind of endearing to that, I guess. So, Hyle Hunt was our final answer. So, guys, how did you do? Let us know. We're back to 15 questions here, so hopefully some of you did really well. We had some challenging ones, but a lot of, middle of the road, couple softballs. So let us know how you did wherever you touch base with us. And that concludes the quiz. I want to say thank you, Tara, so much for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Always enjoy talking to you guys, and really excited to see you at Ice and FireCon again this year. It's going to be a good time. So
yeah, it definitely is. So and I think now we're in the solid 3 months away window. So.
Yeah, actually, the 23rd of January is 3-month mark. So yeah, we were right there. Well, I didn't need to be reminded of that.
Yeah. So now we will let you go hurry up and do all the many things I'm sure you need to do, because it is a big operation. We definitely appreciate you for all you do to make what is assuredly a highlight of the year for many of us.
Gosh, I hope so.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for Ice and FireCon. So
Yeah, thanks so much, Tara.
Yeah, thank you guys, and can't wait to see how people do on the quiz as well.
Yeah, well, people will let us know, I'm sure.
Let us know, social media, Twitter, Patreon, whatever. Flash us your scores so we can see how you're doing.
And that's it. So thanks, guys, for joining us. We will be back soon with another regular episode of Radio Westeros. And bye for now.